Believe it or not, I'm standing in the middle of a graveyard, one where thousands of Augustans were buried more than a century ago. Today, it's mostly grass and one memorial. Welcome to Rollersville. Today, we call this part of town Harrisburg, the old mill neighborhood that sprang up around the Ezekiel Harris house. But this part of Augusta once had other communities, and Rollersville was one of them. It sprang up along Hicks Street between Crawford Avenue and 15th on land owned by the Huntington and Bowler families, and from 1830 to 1860 it was called a town. Today, its only remaining feature is the Rollersville Community Cemetery, with its graves of family members, slaves, and Civil War soldiers. A lone monument marks them all. We know the name of the first person buried here, William Trainum. He died heroically in a house fire trying to save others. For 22 years, his was the only grave. But in 1849, the first of several members of the Huntington family were laid to rest here. Others, many others, followed. Mill workers, slaves, Civil War soldiers. The exact number and many of their names are unknown. No records were kept. In 1883, Rollersville was absorbed by the city of Augusta, and a caretaker began recording burials. By the time the cemetery was closed in 1910, there were 3,598 graves. Today, the old cedars and magnolias still stand guard. But you might notice the tombstones are gone. This cemetery used to be much larger, but it began to shrink as people around its edges wanted lots to build houses on. They say the graves upon which these new homes were built were moved. That's what they say. Many were. We know because their transfer to cemetery lots in Magnolia and Westview cemeteries were recorded, but many were not. And we know that because we keep finding the old tombstones, stuck in corners, buried under weeds, dumped in the canal. In 2009, the Chronicle reported discovery of a marble Rollersville tombstone during a cleanup project at an aqueduct ditch near the Augusta Canal. The simple epitaph told of Bluford Garrett, who was born in 1852 and died in 1903. A check of records showed Garrett was at one time buried in the Rollersville Cemetery less than a mile away. But we're still not sure where he is. Like many things in this part of town, Rollersville has faded away. Much of it was done in the 1970s with construction of the Calhoun Expressway. But there are still people here, buried beneath us. So if you walk in this old cemetery, tread with respect.